Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a hypnosis session that was for a gentleman that was experiencing severe symptoms of IBS to such an extent that he couldn't have confidence of going for long periods of time out in public because he wouldn't know if there would be some kind of reaction where he needed to go to the toilet, rapidly and very quickly without much preparation. So what you're going to hear in this hypnosis session is three key things. There is a first element of suggestions that what he perceived to be the cause and the trigger for the IBS is somehow not relevant because that was from a long time ago, and there was an evaluation that it was toxicity that was causing the IBS. So therefore you're going to hear a suggestion about anything toxic is actually leaving the body, and highlighting that the human body is a detoxification machine, with the liver, the skin, the respiratory system, the digestive system. It's all designed to take things that aren't good for the body and get rid of them. So that's highlighted. What you're also going to hear is a metaphor called the control room of the mind to change the relationship between emotion and physical response to make that more useful, and to change his internal representation of what he perceived when he thought of his gut. So when I asked the question, when you think of your gut, what does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it seem like? He was saying it was like a rocket launcher, a missile launcher. Now, the premise of a rocket launcher or a missile launcher are that things are ejected rapidly, and without warning from a rocket launcher. So we changed that to two more useful ways of thinking about the gut. The one thing that a lot of scientists have studied, and that is the intuitive nature of the gut. It almost acts like a second brain. There is a fantastic documentary on Netflix all about how the gut is the second brain. And the second is that a very modern high-tech hose, like a garden hose, but with the ability to increase or reduce pressure and an early warning system that would warn him if he needed to go to the toilet within a particular period of time. I think this will be useful for anyone with IBS because a lot of the suggestions are general to the symptoms of IBS, but obviously it was created for someone else. So if you are suffering with IBS, hypnosis is one of those things that study after study highlights the efficacy, the actual benefits of hypnosis with those people experiencing the horrible symptoms of IBS. There will be a link nearby to this recording in the show notes that you can book a free 30-minute consultation call to explore working with me one-on-one to help with your individual circumstances. There will be a time before IBS and there'll be a time after that, in which case there's a point of inception. We can work with that. We can work with the metaphors, the belief systems, and the emotional triggers of IBS too. But for now, find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe in, imagine breathing in a feeling of calm and relaxation. And as you exhale, just get a sense that tension is leaving your body. Breathing in that resourceful feeling of relaxation And with your eyes closed, that's it. Exhaling that feeling of tension, feeling it leave your body. And sometimes it's useful to scan your body from the top of your head all the way down to the tips of your toes to get a sense of where perhaps feelings of tension or stress exist within you. Every individual experiences and manifests stress and anxiety in different places. For some people it's the jaw. For some people it's the muscles in the forehead and around the eyelids. For other people it's their neck and the shoulders. Some people will find themselves clenching a fist even when they don't need to. Tensing the muscles in their legs or their arms even if they're not lifting something or moving. So start to scan your body for any clues of tension. Continue to breathe in that resourceful feeling of relaxation, exhaling tension. And I want you to imagine that you're breathing in bright, healing white light that represents that resourcefulness. Feeling it going in through the nose, down into your lungs. And I want you to get a sense that this healing white light starts there in your nostrils, going down into your lungs, and then spreads to every part of your body. Feel a warmth to the energy, and feel it going and distributing to wherever in your body you feel that tension, that stress, that anxiety. Sometimes you've threw a stone perhaps in a pond or a lake, and just because the stone hit one part of that lake or that pond didn't stop the ripples from spreading out, going across the surface until almost every part of the surface of that pond was affected by the stone hitting the surface. As you breathe in that resourceful feeling of relaxation, I want you to get a sense that that healing resourcefulness starts in your lungs and then spreads out to every single part of your body, melting away tension, enabling it to leave your body in your outward breath. I want you to get a sense that the human body has many ways of eliminating waste. If it's food, it can go out when you go to the toilet. If it's drink, it can go out in your urine or in your sweat. When you breathe in oxygen, and your body cells create carbon dioxide. So simply by breathing out, excretes waste from the body. I want you to get a sense that the human body is a detoxifying machine. It already has organs that enable waste to be eliminated from the body. The liver, the kidneys, the lungs, the heart. I want you to get a sense that your body is very good at excreting and releasing anything undesirable and unwanted. I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine you are in a relaxing place. I want you to imagine that you're outside and there is warm thermal springs, perhaps next to a waterfall. There's no one else around. And I want you to imagine that these warm thermal springs contain minerals that have a particular property. The combination of the temperature the liquid, and the minerals have this incredible ability to extract heavy metals and anything undesirable from the body, but through the skin. As you imagine bathing in this warm, natural spring outside in nature, I want you to get a sense that it's stimulating the lymphatic system, the body's natural ability to keep you healthy. It's stimulating that part that enables your body to find what's in your body and enable it to leave your body. And as that happens, you start to feel that just by being in this place, even in your own imagination, you're getting healthier. And the minerals seep through your skin and go all the way into your gut, and even feel that as you breathe in that healing white light, the combination of your breath and the warmth of the water starts healing your gut, your intestines, and everything connected to your digestion. I'm going to count down from 10 to 1, and with each downward number, you're going to feel more of these healthy benefits taking place in your body. 10, feeling limp, loose, heavy, feeling so relaxed there in this water, releasing the tension around your eyelids and around your forehead. 9, allowing any tension in your jaw, around your face to be released, finding it easier to breathe in and breathe out. That's it. 8, feeling like any tension in your neck and your shoulders is just melting away. Almost feels like your neck is more flexible, that the tension that you've been holding on to, you're letting go of. A 7, that relaxation now spreads all the way into your arms. So even your fingers and your thumb feels loose, relaxed, that you've let go of that tension. If someone was to raise your arm, it would just fall all the way back down, having just let go of that tension. 6, as you breathe in, imagine your internal organs are starting to relax. Your diaphragm, your lungs are relaxing, enabling you to breathe in deeper and exhaling deeper. Your stomach is relaxing, enabling you to eat more nutritious, delicious foods, particularly those foods that have powerful antioxidants. You know those foods already. There are certain foods that exist and have this unique ability to bind with heavy metals, and it just leaves your body when the time comes. Your lungs relax, your stomach relaxes, your heart relaxes, and now your gut starts to relax as we go 5. I want you to imagine that you picture your gut as a neglected old garden hose, left out in the rain, covered in mud, knotted, twisted. This is a hose that's been neglected. Maybe there's holes in that hose. And as you breathe in and feel that positive energy flowing down into your gut, I want you to notice it starts to heal that gut. That old, neglected garden hose starts to look high-tech, brand new. I want you to imagine it has a nozzle on the end, and the nozzle can determine the pressure, meaning that what's in the hose can either be sped up or slowed down. I want you to imagine that somewhere in this hose is an early warning detector. So if anything is about to leave this hose, it automatically, intuitively connects it with your brain and lets you know with plenty of time. I want you to get a sense that there's so many ways of thinking about your gut, and I want you to start thinking of different ways to think about your gut. But as that healing energy flows through your gut, you now see it as a shiny, modern, well looked after garden hose. 4, the energy goes down into your legs feeling heavier, limp, loose, more relaxed. 3, all the way down to your feet. 2, even your toes feel relaxed. Every cell in your body is releasing and letting go of any tension, stress, or anxiety. Now, I want you to imagine that you are now visiting the control room of your mind. The part of your mind that connects one thing with something else. Maybe there's a gauge or a control that says, as anxiety is high, your gut needs to be more efficient and rapid. And I want you to turn that dial all the way low. Even if you're anxious, there is no need for your guts to be working any faster than they normally would. And you remember what it was like years ago when they went at a normal speed. And therefore your brain and your body and your gut already knows to work in that way. So just allow that to happen. Adjust the controls. And also, I want you to get a sense of all the different metaphors that could apply to your gut. And perhaps you can see that currently it's selected to think of your gut as a cannon or a missile launcher. It's been that way for a while and it hasn't helped. So I want you to change the representations of how you think of your gut to being a second brain, a part of your body that is intuitive, a part of your brain and your body that's trying to keep you safe, that's trying to protect you in some way. So replace that image of a cannon with the idea of it being a brain. And what's interesting is when you look at a brain, it has those ripples and folds, much like the intestines. So it stands to reason if it looks like a brain and it acts like a brain in feeding you information, maybe it is indeed a second brain. And this is a brain that you want to empower to make good choices on your behalf. But I also want you to think of it as just a way of things naturally leaving your body when the time is right. If you think of that hose, water can flow freely through the hose. But the more solid the liquid, the slower things would flow. So I want you to imagine, what would it be like for something soft but solid to go through that hose, and just imagine it happening very slowly. And it could be even slower if the nozzle was adjusted to reduce the pressure, and there is no pressure on your guts anymore. And then finally, imagine something slow and solid gradually going through that hose. Even if the hose is slightly wider than a normal hose, I want you to imagine it's still going very slowly through this brand new modern hose until it hits that detection system, that half an hour or an hour that it needs to leave the body, there's a warning. You've heard of the phrase gut feel, gut intuition. Your gut can let you know way in advance as to how much time you have before you need to go to the toilet. And that early detection system has been switched off for a while now. And that's only increased the anxiety to put more stress on the gut. But we don't want more stress on the gut. We want less stress on the gut. So therefore, we slow down the pressure. We reactivate that early warning system. And also, you'll develop a belief that You don't go to the toilet when you need to. You go when you can. And therefore, you can always adjust that nozzle to speed up the process when you choose, but also slow it down when you choose. And your brain, almost like a form of artificial intelligence there in your gut, will accept that. The time to speed it up is if you're actually on a toilet, and the time to slow it down is when you're not near a toilet. And if your unconscious mind accepts that that might be a useful way of working, let me know by nodding your head. I want you to get a sense that here you are in the control room of your mind when your physical body is there in this relaxing thermal spring in the middle of nature, enabling you to feel deeper and deeper relaxed. And then here in this control room, I want you to imagine that you can communicate directly with your gut. Because where else can you do that if it isn't in the control room? And I want you to bring up a screen in the control room of your mind that represents your gut, and I want you to see it almost looking like an intelligent brain. And I want you to communicate with your gut. And I want you to accept responsibility that in the past you haven't always made it easy for your gut to work in the way that it wants to. I want you to stream memories, things that knowing what you now know you wouldn't now do, but back then you did. Stream those memories straight to this brain looking gut there on this screen. And I want you to accept full responsibility that even if you didn't do it maliciously, you did things that weren't healthy for the gut. And then I want you to give a sincere apology to this representation on screen that represents your gut. And if the gut is willing to accept your ownership, your responsibility, and your apology, let me know by nodding your head. And then I want you to let this gut know what you're going to do differently to work with your gut rather than against your gut. The healthy fibrous foods that you're going to give your gut more often. Those prebiotics or probiotics to make sure it's got exactly the right microbiome that it needs. That you're going to do whatever you can to reduce the amount of stress and anxiety in your life so that your gut doesn't have to have a reaction to that. And I want you to say anything else that you're going to do for your gut to work with your gut rather than in conflict with your gut. Just stream those thoughts directly to it. And when it accepts that you're remorseful for the past, but now that you know better, you're going to do better, and that it's confident that it's going to give you a window of opportunity to prove that you are going to work with the gut. When it's ready to have a collaboration, a partnership, let me know by nodding your head. That's right. And notice that as that's agreed, you start to feel differently about your gut. You seem able to trust it more, to want to work with it rather than against it, to give it what it needs. More relaxation, less stress, the right kind of foods, the right kind of combination of things that enable your gut to work in the best way possible. From this point forward, you now know how to reduce your stress and anxiety. And from this point forward, you think of your gut differently, more like a second brain or a ultra-modern, efficient hose that can slow down or speed up depending on what it needs to, and with this early detection system. And you feel that you've healed your relationship with your gut. And whenever you do something that's potentially damaging to your gut, I want you to know that you can put your hand on your gut. Apologize to that gut. And then communicate what you were going to do differently going forwards. Meaning that even if you accidentally cause harm, you can create trust and reassurance that you're going to do different things in the future. So place your hand on your gut right now. Imagine it looking different, feeling different, but also giving it time to make these adjustments. And you will help it in the same way that if you were planting a delicate new tree, a tiny sapling, you would need to support that with sunshine and water. Make sure it's not trodden on. This new gut that you have a new relationship with needs support and nurturing. And I want you to get a sense that you're willing to do that. It's time to leave this control room of your mind, but before you leave, just see the levels for anxiety, stress, and turn them all the way down low. And then find the gauge, the dial for positivity and optimism, and turn it all the way up. It makes sense to tinker with the control room of your mind since you're here anyway. And finally, find the dial that is responsible for self-esteem and confidence and turn that all the way up too. It's now time to leave this control room and then find yourself back there in that thermal spring outside, realizing that for a long time now, the minerals in this thermal spring have been extracting those unhealthy things in your body that you don't need anymore. You feel refreshed, rejuvenated, and healthy. And now it's time to leave this thermal spring. As you return back to the present, listening to my voice, take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. All parts of you with this new second brain, your gut, and a new relationship with that gut, soon to wake up firmly in the present. Starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.